Robinson is the man in the middle. For the Sixers
of these teams, Raps in the red, Sixers
also defend the lane because they like to attack the painted area, and they're really good on the fast break. And part of their offense, a big part of their offense, is changing ends quickly, so you've got to get back up D as well.
Good work by the rookie, Justin Edwards. Too strong on his first shot attempt of the night, but nice handle from Jake. And that is Jacoby Walter, the rookie.
On the other end here, attack there.
20 Raptors Friday win over the Charlotte Hornets up in Toronto. Mentioned in the open, they've won 3 in a row.
Raptors not letting up at all, a little full.
Jared looks really nice last night as well. 19 points, season high, 10 assists. This is RJ Barrett, short on the 3. Did not see RJ when we saw these Raps up in Toronto earlier this month. A lot of guys were unavailable for that one, but Toronto still able to emerge victorious.
RJ able to play back in his hometown, of course, a Toronto and Canadian native.
This is a guy playing close to his hometown, a Reading, PA native. Good to have Lonnie Walker.
Completely under control throughout that whole move, got to where he wanted to. A nice little finish.
And that's Jamal Shed, and his shot altered by Dembona. Here's Lonnie from the wing. Rebound back to Adem. Ricky counts on the 4th, getting the start tonight. Ricky looks good off the bench last night. 13 points, double figures in 9 of the last 11 games that Slick Rick has played. Nice pass down to him.
That means Barnes can't come and help. Nice little pass underneath and a finish.
There's Barrett on the other side of the floor this time and gets a bounce from the rim there.
Yeah, that bounced straight up in the air, 10 feet over the rim, and then just dropped for him. Fortuitous, to say the least.
6-year player out of Duke is RJ Barrett. So, of course, had a secret handshake with Allah before the game. This is Walter pulling it back out. Shed short on his 3, count to the rebound. Now, do you have special handshakes with each Duke player, or is it one that you all know?
What it is he just shares his collegiate bank account number. So I'm trying to get some extra ends. You know,
things have changed slightly.
It has. Now everything's legal.
When you were a Blue Devil, February of 2023, our great crew looked it up and confirmed that that was the case.
RJ Rowan Barrett Jr. Dad was a basketball player, now the head of Canadian basketball.
Butler, great spin move.
Moving and finding his teammate. Don't gamble, don't gamble.
Damn, almost had the steal, but unfortunately, and puts it up and in.
Yeah, because what happens is you allow a guy like Robinson, who normally I don't think could score on his own, now he's got free reign.
Robinson blocking Dembona after last night's loss. Makes a lot of sense. So you just look for the guys who are...
You always know who the point guard is, and I had the good fortune of playing with some really, really good ones from college on into the league. And yeah, you befriend them. Make sure that you get along well.
Barrett has it knocked away by Walk. Took it to receive tote bags on the throw shooter. That's one of the few parts of his game that RJ can so again, some full court pressure from Toronto.
Yeah, they are not letting up. Going to try to put the Sixers in a multitude of uncomfortable situations. Stated them last year because Shed was injured and not in the lineup. So they're looking for some redemption.
It's gonna be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, well, the whole Final Four is gonna be great.
Council from the elbow, a little short. Barnes, no look out to Shed. RJ with some space and
rhythm shooter. I wouldn't call him like a lockdown shooter, but he is more of a rhythm shooter, and right now he seems to be in a rhythm, so it's something to be concerned about.
There's Shen, was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. That was one of the reasons that Houston missed him so
hard. And if you played for Kelvin Sampson, there's a certain amount of toughness and embracing of the defensive end of the floor that you must have.
That foul was on Jared Butler, so already 14 fouls on the Sixers in this first quarter, similar to what we had last night. Robinson, the offensive rebound.
He played well up in Toronto the last time these two teams met. He kind of played out of his mind with the numbers he put up. Very effective.
Indeed. 12 rebounds, and we were looking at each other the whole time going, who is this guy?
Yeah, exactly. We're learning a lot about him. Game, right? On the move, north and south. He's got great length. He catches defenders off guard with that left-handed finish.
Butler tried to get it to Bona, but it was deflected. Shed over to Barrett.
Too late.
Robinson blocked by Bona. Saves it into the hands of Shed.
How about that block? My goodness.
And 3 of them last night. Ooh, Walter might have gotten away with the travel. Barrett this time from the other wing. And Bona the rebound.
Pretty good stand there from 3-0, preventing a Raptors bucket there.
Fourth career start tonight for Adem as Council's pass.
Knock down shots and score at will at times. He is a surprising rookie.
Sixers went
When you draw things up and then you go out on the floor and you want to execute.
available for 50 games in the NBA, and he only has 2 games left. So Nick Nurse said, with Jalen Hood-Schifino available, with Marcus, want to get some of the other guys some run and keep Jeff on the bench while they can. More pressure from the Raptors.
He also said he didn't know the reasons.
So Sixers need to show up their communication. Raptors with his 6-point lead. Shed short on the floater. Bounces around, and the Raptors get another opportunity.
This hustle plays there.
And straight on 3, month up in Toronto.
Well, we know in the modern game, the best time to shoot a 3 is after a rebound. Raptors secured that loose ball and immediately looked to fire a 3.
That was Jonathan Mobo, who also was Shed to Barrett. Kicking back out.
Zone here from your Sixers 3-2 variety.
That's one of the ways you can break it. Go inside. RJ had a clean look, but couldn't get it to go. Council all the way down the
Still got his head down, playing north and south basketball. Nobody stepping in the way and nobody able to stop that finish.
Barrett through the slot, drops it off to Disco.
Barrett showing you his playmaking ability there, the penetration and the dish.
He was out with a broken nose earlier this month. You see him wearing the mask. Lonnie from way outside. With the scoring, but good long defender, good at getting his teammates involved as well.
Yeah, and he's active, right? He gets off the floor quickly. He's got a lively body, does Mobo.
And that one up and over. Sure, we can call it that.
Let's call it that.
This is Hood-Schifino. Bagley.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
And this is Cole Swider. Played 3 years at Villanova. Almost had the seal there. Started this season with Detroit and then LA, and just recently signing with the Raptors. Lonnie Walker brought to you by Toy in 2023.
Finally, I believe the scoreboard and the scores table gave him credit for the 2 points.
They did.
It's only right.
Exactly. He put in great effort, and this is haven't seen Reese too much recently. For the last 5, he's been inactive because he too, like Jeff Downton, is up against it when it comes to games on his 2-way contract. This is Ricky Council IV. Out to Reese. Shot clock at 5. Now at 3, Walker splits the defense, and that has it taken away. Gets it back. And let's see, they decided that it is Raptors basketball. Toronto 27 and 47 on the season in the 11th spot in the Eastern Conference. This is Jamison Battle, another one of their rookies out of Ohio State. The Southpaw played well again when we saw them in March up in Toronto.
Yeah, up until that point, he was shooting real well, too. He's kind of cooled off a little bit since then, but he is still a threat.
There's Mobo. As you mentioned, he did look really good in the first game we saw them, which was game number 2 on the season. Walter can't hit the mid-range, but Mobo had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. And in that game, you and I were thinking, who's this guy?
Exactly. Between Robinson and Mobo, we've been left.
And he does. First did the Indiana product, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Big 10 freshman of the year. Back in 2023 season. Drafted by the Lakers.
Oh.
And that's...
Right, instead, he thought he would stay in the corner, and that was a dart.
Right. And Nick, we're ready for it.
Way to look alive there, Sixer assistant coaches.
This is Wheeler. Blocked by Barnes. We were giving the coaching staff a hard time last night as Wheeler was unable to corral it. And then, of course, Rob King and Brandon Chin, our PR staff, who have both had to deal with similar instances while we were on the road the last couple of weeks, started to text us about how they had better hands than Fab, and it was a whole thing.
It's becoming a competition.
It was a whole thing, everybody. We were trying to call the game. They were texting us. We were like, guys, please, this is not about you. Shot clock at 5. Wheeler trying to slow down Barnes.
Early ball.
In for 2, and he's not happy that he didn't get a chance to add one more. If you couldn't hear it. Wheeler blocked by Mobo. And still yelling is Scotty Barnes. Baji. Sliding for three.
Eternity to size that one up.
That's why they brought Cole in, because of his three-point shooting. 3-on-1 here for the Raptors. Ooh.
Oh,
no. Almost got away with it.
It did. Some zone here from the Raptors now, the 2-3 variety.
Final 45 seconds of the first quarter. Council showed on the rainbow three. Rebound back to him, though. And Ricky follows the mid.
The ACC with Duke. And out of the Big 12, the University of Houston Cougars. They're not Phi Slamma Jamma, but they are dangerous as Edwards comes away with the rebound. Edwards with Reese. Reese is going to fire a three. And a battle will get the rebound. Here's Scotty. Scotty's going to pull up, and the three doesn't go. And a rebound for Philip Wheeler, who's a 22-year-old rookie, signed a 10-day to March the 26th. Hardship exception. He made his NBA debut Wednesday in Washington. College to play pro ball in Italy before joining the G League. Here's Abaji, and Abaji able
to just getting downhill in attack mode. You attack these guys young guys who has not played a lot of games, and I would love to see Scotty Barnes take a page out of what RJ and of course Abaji has done. Just be in attack mode, getting to his spots, particularly that mid-range, and then work his way out to the three.
Physical, and you got to do things from a team aspect, whether it's rebounding and defense. You just see the difference of a lack of not having Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah.
The middle is wide open. No one's really defending the paint because that's what he does, and that's why it anchors this defense. You have ball pressure, but it's easier to have ball pressure when you have somebody like Yak in the background.
Here's Battle the corner.
Shoot the three, and as a teammate and a veteran, that's what I would tell him. Continue to shoot with confidence regardless of the result, because it's the form and staying in rhythm is what you want, and then everything else will fall into place.
And to your point earlier, as Bagley misses, for a player like Battle, you know, his shots are going to be easier when there's a full complement of players, right? So just continue to shoot that three. You know, we've seen it throughout the history of the NBA. Look at Reggie Miller with how he shot it. It's a lot about just continuing with your shot and being comfortable and confident with it ultimately.
Well, man, it's like the golf swing.
Yeah.
It's how you finish. You know, the finish looks sometimes the takeaway looks like everyone is. It's that middle area that's weird. It's how can you get the face square, so on and so forth. The same thing with the follow through, right? Yeah, with the proper arc and And I noticed I said something to Alice.
Middle.
That works. That works.
Al, how's your golf swing? Here's RJ.
Not that good.
He has golf clubs.
Yeah, I got the clubs.
That bag's probably pretty fresh. Your green putter.
You're going to see me one day.
It's relaxing. I mean, it's frustrating also.
Early, Kyle's a fanatic now, but it was when he was working out, and we work out at 5:45. He'll finish his workout at 7:30. He's on the course, and I used to go out there early on, but after a while, I was like, hey, man, I need to go get a nap or something. But yeah, I wish I was.
You can always pick it up where you can get right into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Get a lesson. I recommend that. I mean, go out there and hack it up, but get a lesson. Yeah, more than one.
Here's a shot. RJ.
Again, RJ is in attack mode. He's attacking. He's not settling. Yes, he's hit a three or two, but he's been in attack mode since the beginning of the game, not letting anyone off the hook.
Here's Edwards. Shot doesn't go, and a rebound. Orlando Robinson to Barrett with Swider, Battle, and Abaji cutting through the paint. Robinson lines up a three, and about that third big next year on the roster, and Robinson right around 31.5% from three.
And we talk about him being that other big for the Raptors with no Poeltl, but he's doing a nice job of rebounding. 10 rebounds last game against the Hornets, but then knocking down a shot.
Directly, he donated enough funds to help them stay open, calling it the right thing to do. Scotty told me that he was grateful to use his position in a meaningful way to step in at the right moment. How beautiful is that, Matt?
That is outstanding. Scotty B. See, good things happen sometimes when you're looking out there and it comes to you. And Scotty Barnes, obviously, we know how generous he has been in his time with the Toronto Raptors. And when you think about what he's done on the court, equaling it in the community, R.J. Barrett making a move. Nice cross-court pass to Abaji. The three doesn't go, and Abona with a rebound. Ahead now, Butler, Council. Council is fouled and did that in 270. 1,800 field goals made. James and Scotty now second on that list. 271. RJ.
Just think, Matt, it was so many less possessions.
You're always
Number one.
Go ahead.
It tells you one thing. The man was jacking. That's what he was doing. He was jacking. That's what we're going to say.
What? Now you got me thinking.
Bro.
Now you got me thinking. I'm going to do a little deep dive here. Here's Shed. Nice 33 minutes together, and then they went heavy with that to the success of Toronto, and then, of course, that great shot. Here's Edwards operating on the inside and taken away. And what a moment against Philadelphia as RJ attacks. He's got
covering, but it's pretty much almost like a give and go. We saw Kelvin Sampson in Houston just do it to win the ball game. So taking a page out of coach's books.
Lonnie Walker with a shot. Of course, back in 2001, both of you a part of a Raptor.
He got us both here and put it right in our hearts.
You both here.
Let's discuss. Let's go back in history.
I always go back to, and I've mentioned this before, to Hubie Brown. You know, the willingness to take the last shot and being able to live with a make or a miss. And as Hubie would always, everybody can always live with the make. Can you live with?
Years ago, about he wasn't afraid to fail, and that resonated with me. I was never afraid of the big shot or the moment. You know, I look forward to it, and it's like you said, you win some, you lose some, and you know, how do you handle the results? And you know, I was willing to handle the result. I remember going in, I told Lenny, I want the shot. Draw it up, give it to me. And the crazy thing about it, and it's the difference in today's game, the original play was to catch the ball up top. Okay. That shot felt good. It was the sex, you know, obviously disappointed, and people said what they said, but I was okay with it because, you know, it was a lot of people, oh, it's because you flew here. You could, like, it didn't have, that wasn't the point. The point was I was not afraid of it. I was willing to stand in front of the media and everyone else and say, hey, I'll live with it and I will take that shot again. And years later, I got the opportunity to take that shot in Dallas, and it was a great feeling, more so just to finally get the opportunity to take that shot and make it. Because once we got back to Toronto, I don't know if you remember this or not, we got back to Toronto and I went straight to the gym and I shot that shot over and over to make it, just to let me know I can make that shot, which I knew, but it's nothing like seeing it going in.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say out of that, well, I'll say two things. You didn't have to go to the huddle and tell Lenny that you wanted the shot. You were going to get that shot. No, you didn't. No, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. You didn't have to remind him. But since you stepped foot in Toronto and Canada, you always were the big shot maker and big shot taker. Like even at a young age, against Boston, against LA, like these moments, I watch you go into the free throw line and sink two with minimal time on the clock to make us win games. The way you carried with Jack, but you were one of the most unselfish superstars and talented players that I've ever played with and seen. So as teammates, we appreciated your efforts. Sure.
I appreciate that. And the crazy thing about that, hearing you just say that, is that I remember, I want to say the pass was to D. Brown, and he missed the open shot. And I took heat for making the right play. And, that's what it's all about. Like, I wanted to put pressure on the defense, drawing the double team to get a teammate a wide open shot that unfortunately didn't supposed to do.
Walker, and that pass sails over Council. Well, nobody has better perspective of that than Vince and Alvin.
We appreciate that.
But I will say this, I think the fans of Toronto, love to hear that. I think you say, okay, hey, we're going to design this for you. You said, no, I want the shot. And then, of course, how many people realize that, so many years later that was actually designed to do something different, yet you cut and you see an opening in the court.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And so those are the intricacies and the level that that conversation obviously can.
Because we're talking about Game 7, last shot, and you draw up a play. You're just obviously you look at it, you see the board right before you because you're always saying, hey, know the play. You run out there. I'm supposed to get the pin down or whatever up to the top of the floor to give me more space. Well, it's taken away, so you have to deal. Who made me swipe over just to readjust before I shot instead of just catching in 1-2, and I had to kind of readjust first, and still got a great shot, great look, just didn't fall.
And Matt, calling the games, game 7s, and you know it's the same thing. You know exactly what the teams are going to do. You know their weaknesses and their strengths. So it's almost impossible to get a clean, easy look in the course of a game, especially Game 7. So just that intensity and the preparation of those